Record now. Hey, what's up? This is Kieran from GOST, which is getting our shit together. And today I'm really happy to be joined by Chris Everson of Alpha Male Kingdom, which is a dating-related Facebook group, very popular, and it's one that's very active. I'm in there quite a bit and chopping it up with some guys, and it's got a really nice buzz to it. So thanks for coming on, Chris.
No, I appreciated it. I just want to elaborate a little bit on what Alpha Male Kingdom is. It has started off as a Facebook group, kind of our initial phase, but the idea behind it is to become kind of a global brand for masculinity and represent, what that really means in today's world and climate. So that's kind of like the idea. There's a lot of different things associated with the brand, but it definitely has started off as a Facebook group for now.
No, decent. And that's the brand logo on your cap, right?
That's correct. Yeah. This is the logo. This is one of our test hats, test merch. So yeah, we're in the process of creating merch and like I said, a bunch of other things. We're looking to kind of branch out and create grooming products. We're looking to create a YouTube channel where we're going to be giving day-to-day information. And then also we're looking at creating kind of a counseling service, or kind of like a tutelage service, if you will, where guys will take each other under their wing for a reasonable price and just kind of help each other grow if somebody needs that.
Nice. Yeah, because it's always, I'm speaking to a lot of coaches at the moment of varying degrees, and often it's dating related, but there might be some fitness in there. And it looks like your approach is more sort of masculinity based, whatever that, that's a broad thing, but whatever that means. So would you like to say more about that? Like how's that going to manifest itself? How's that going to look?
Yeah. So, I think, the life of a man is much more than how many women he can sleep with. You know what I mean? It's much more important. If you're
how many threesomes, right?
What's that?
It's how many threesomes, right?
How many threesomes? Yeah. Or foursomes or fivesomes or whatever. Yeah. But no, but yeah, like for, you can be, that's one area of a man's life, right? So the idea is for us to be kind of an all-encompassing brand where we're, helping you to grow financially, physically, if that's what you want to do, giving you tips on nutrition, fitness, things like that. It just so happens, in the group right now, guys are talking a ton about women and kind of how, their experiences are, or tips and tricks with women. So we also touched on that too, but we don't want to be in just that box. We want to represent, every phase of a man's life, including the female phase. Yes. And the dating phase as well.
No, I agree with you. And I think there's, obviously we're looking to do something pretty similar, like quite a holistic brand, talking about nutrition, fitness, dating, all of those areas of discipline, basically, that a man needs to get good at. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because you start think, well, like, does every guy need to join like some group or something like that? But it's like, well, yeah, historically, men would have had rites of passage, rites of initiation, like more community. And it's sort of like, whether it's the army or like I know police forces, fire forces, they're really like close-knit family environments. If it's something like that, or even like men need something, some sort of like higher aspiration that other guys are setting for them. Guys who've been there can live it as an example and just say like, look, this is, and again, formerly it was the church, things like that. But it's like how to live life, because life's so complicated and there's so many different important things that we've got to get right. It's almost too much to do it on your own. So that's why it's nice to have like a framework, like what GOST could give you, or what your brand Alpha Male Kingdom can give you. And that's basically how I feel about that. And I know like a lot of guys coming in, it's just like, well, isn't that almost weak? Or why do I need some group to like hold me to a standard? Like what am I doing here? Am I joining the Boy Scouts? But it's like, no, it's just a way of like, this is how elite guys operate, right? They talk to other winners.
Right. And I think, there's a couple of different ways to learn anything in life. One of those ways are going to be by personal experience and using your intuition to kind of figure out everything, and another way is going to be to have somebody that you really respect, and something that really resonates with you. And that can be found in the form of a group, that can be found in the form of like a mentor, but you either learn it yourself or you have somebody teach you. So I think, you know, no matter what way you go about it, if you learn it yourself, great, but it's impossible to really learn everything by yourself. You know, at a certain point, somebody steps in and says, hey, I know a little bit about this. Let me kind of give you some advice, or let me kind of give you some help here. So I don't think it's a bad thing for guys to go out and search for somebody that, you know, has the answers that they might be seeking for.
Yeah, and it's like, imagine if you take one discipline, something like, say, fitness. Like, you want to get big and strong and muscular, get your body fat percentage down. Like, if you were to just do that blindly on your own, stuff like you're going to waste years, like just getting to where you want to get to. Rather, you can go to someone, okay, look, we'll get your nutrition sorted out like this. This is what the program you need to do physically. It'd just be crazy to do anything else, I think. So, right. But then it becomes like, I mean, obviously, I think you and I both want to open this up to as many people as possible, as many guys. And then it becomes like a costing issue, because typically our industry is quite high ticket, quite high value. It's quite expensive. So then is there any way of opening that up maybe to the younger guys, people still in college, school, university, that sort of thing?
Yeah. No, I think that the most important thing about this space is making this affordable and attainable for, you know, everyone. So when I'm thinking about, you know, pricing for, you know, mentoring somebody, I've had guys reach out to me and they've said, hey, I really want to get your feedback on this or that, right? I really have seen what you've been posting. It seems like you know what you're talking about. I'd really love to just kind of like have you teach me about this life and what it means and you know what you can do to help me. And then in that case, a lot of times I work on a sliding scale, to be honest. Like, you know, I want to be affordable for everyone. I want to appeal to everyone, because I feel like this knowledge, not only is it important for, you know, that guy right then and there, but this is knowledge that if the world had, I feel like it would be a better place all around. So of course, you know, if you want to learn something, anything in life, just like if you wanted to learn how to, you know, be a better photographer, if you want to learn how to edit videos or whatever the case may be, you have to pay for that. You have to go to school for that. I mean, you could learn some on YouTube, but nothing beats somebody actually with you in the trenches day to day, helping you out with something really, really under your tutelage. So it's like, you're going to have to pay for that. There's value associated with that. And as long as you're providing solid value, you're always going to find somebody that's willing to, you know, invest in the value that you bring. So,
okay. So let's say you're a young guy listening to this, say, and I think things like fitness or nutrition are quite mechanical. We understand what good food is, and it can be quite quick to learn nutrition, I suppose, rather than say dating, which is a little bit more, a little bit less tangible, basically. So what would you point to in terms of sort of credibility or your background, or why are you an authority on something like dating?
Yeah. So when it comes to dating and that whole scene, you know, I can just share my story. You know, I think at this stage of, you know, the game right now, we don't really have like, I mean, they can give accreditations, right? And they can say like, I'm a certified relationship coach and I'm this and I'm that, but there's really no degree on it. It's almost like an untracked field. You know, it's like we're walking almost on virgin snow here, if you will, with this stuff, right? So
that's gonna. I think I agree with that, and I think that will change. Sorry to butt in, but I do think that's going to change at some point. There's going to be some sort of body behind this stuff, because it is almost like the final frontier of work that you can go into or get good at, reputationally wise, that you don't need to be accredited for by anybody, really.
Right. Yeah. Really.
I think it's coming.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think there's a lot of things in the way of that right now, because you got the feminist movement, you got like, you know, a lot of a lot of control around that. Like there's been a lot of YouTube channels that have been removed because guys are talking about dating and stuff like that. So there is a bit of a cancel culture around, you know, this subject.
Yeah.
So it's even tough for guys to find it right now, but I'll tell my story. So my story, you know, growing up, right? I didn't have much success with women growing up. I was a guy that was raised by a single mom. And then I had a stepfather that entered into the picture. And let's just say he wasn't exactly the role model that I wanted nor needed at that time. And really somebody to model myself after. And also my dad lived in another state. So I didn't really have that, that tutelage. You know, I didn't really have that mentorship that we need as young men. And so basically, you know, I would garner a lot of interest from women, but I just didn't know how to seal the deal. Or maybe when I got in the relationship, my emotions would take over me. So there was a lot of things that, you know, I experienced growing up in high school and then also in middle school where, you know, it was a lot of pain. It was a lot of anguish and a lot of, you know, not so fun moments. And so that drove me to figure out, all right, what am I doing wrong? Because obviously something isn't right here. Something is not going right. So when I got out of high school, I remember, you know, my first year out of high school, I met this girl and I thought she was perfect. You know, like the classic story of like, I found the one, we're going to get married. You know, I've only known this girl for maybe 2.5, 3 weeks. I got my hopes really high and she just like disappeared on me. You know what I mean? Ghosted, you know what I mean? And I finally thought I was doing everything right. And I was like, man, I got this situation locked up, and it just didn't work out. And it was so painful to me to where I was like, all right, I need to change. And sometimes pain is a very big motivator. Actually, all the time, pain is one of the biggest motivators of change. So when you feel an emotional pain, you're going to do whatever it takes to not feel like this again, kind of figure that out. So what I did was I realized, okay, where I went wrong. And I really analyzed that. And I felt intuitively that I was a little bit too emotionally attached too quickly. And I was also pursuing a little bit too much. I also felt that I was just looking for something outside of myself. And I needed to realize that everything that I needed was already with me. And so with those three different things kind of going on, I was just really, really emotional and not who I am today, not the best version of myself. And that pushed her away because when the relationship started, she was pursuing me. Women, that's a lot of things that guys don't know is that women love to pursue the guy that they are really, really attracted to, the guy that they really, really find mysterious or that they like. They'll say, oh, I'm going to sit back and wait for a guy to come to me. I'm not going to go after any guys. I'm telling you, as a man, at first, you may have to initially approach, or you may have to initially kind of start the engagement. But after that's done, and after you kind of maybe go for 1-2 dates, that girl's going to start pursuing you. She's going to, like, if she really likes you, if she really finds value in you, really feels like you're somebody that she wants to hang out with, she's going to start pursuing you. So she was pursuing me heavily at first. Then I realized halfway through, there was a switch in my mentality where I went from being the person being pursued and kind of holding the carrot out, if you will, to somebody who was like, I'm in love and I don't care. I'm in love. And it, like, all the rules of the game go out the window. It doesn't matter. She's the one. Screw it. Like, I get to stop playing the game, you know, and the game's over. And right when I did that, she was like, she felt the switch immediately and just got rid of me. It was just like, I'm not on the same page as you. Where before she's like, I will go anywhere for you. I'll walk through shards for you. I'll walk through fire for you. It doesn't matter. But the minute that I switched and I kind of was like, okay, I can just let my guard down and I can just be like, you know, the sweet guy and everything like that. As soon as I started kind of acting different, she just didn't want it anymore and she got out of there.
Well, so, okay, so that's yeah. I mean, firstly, that's brutal.
Yeah,
Secondly, yeah, that is tough. But
yeah,
secondly, it's also a fairly common story as well. That sort of
course.
initial really hard attraction from the girl to the guy, and then it sort of wanes a little bit because now she's seeing a switch. The things that she was initially attracted to maybe are being put on the back burner. But how do we marry this up for someone, say, if like they're listening to this and they're just like, well, look, I just don't want to hear that because I don't want to think like, oh, it's this game that I'm going to have to be playing forever. Like, yeah. I've got to keep this, like you said, the carrot out. And it's not like that. I mean, it's just something to be conscious of in your relationship. Like,
right.
I mean, it's that like really old concept of like, you don't own anything. You don't own your job. You don't own your life or your health or anything. I mean, like, if you don't pay attention to things, they're going to degrade. That's just the law of the universe.
Right.
I mean,
I think the biggest thing is because I used a lot of vague terms when I was kind of explaining, right? Like, so one of the things that I said was, you know, I let my guard down, or I got too vulnerable or whatever. I don't want guys to think when they listen to this that it's bad to be vulnerable, because it's not. No. That's a common misconception. It's like, I have to be this certain person all the time because if I'm anything else, then she's not going to like, it's like, but then guys say things like this where they say, you have to be yourself. Well, what does that mean? Yeah, right? What does that mean? That's such a vague term. So basically, I'll tell you what happened, right? What happened was, when she met me, we were at a party, right? We were at a party. We were hanging out. We were drinking. We met through mutual friends. She came over to me and started chatting me up. And I was kind of just in my zone. I was just having a good day. I was just happy. Yeah. I wasn't concerned with, when I was going out, who am I going to meet tonight? Or what am I going to do? Or, you know, what am I, you know, gonna make happen tonight? What am I, like, I was just in flow state. I was flowing. So, you know, she came over to me and the first thing she said to me is like, you shouldn't drink that much. I was like, don't tell me what to do. You're not my mom. You know what I mean? But like, I said it in a funny way, not in like an aggressive way. Right. I was just like, don't tell me what to do. You're not my mom. And she's like, but you're going to be driving. Right. And I was like, and what's the problem? You know? And so,
not that we endorse drink driving, but
yeah, I don't endorse that, but I mean, at the end of the day, like,
chatting about it to chat.
Yeah, I was joking around. I was right next to my friend. She came over, and it's the way that I say it. It's not it's all about. So what she garnered from that was, okay, this guy's confident. If I go up to him and I tell him not to do something, it's the classic, you know, test of, you know, can I get this guy to succumb to my wants or my desires? Women test like this all the time. It's almost like a mating ritual, right? Where they want to see, like, do you stand on your own 2 feet? Like, can you know, it's a playful banter, but in that playful banter, you know, it's ingrained deeply within them to know, okay, like, this is a guy that I can't move off of his rocker. Like,
that's an amazing way of putting it, man, because I'm not sure I've heard that put as succinctly as that, because you're right. It's like that sort of playful banter that you engage in with a girl when you're just sort of initially meeting her. And it's sort of like she's teasing you, you're taking it like,
you're like, whatever.
Yeah, like whatever, exactly. It's fine. You tease her back, see if she takes it. It is amazing ritual. And like you say, it's the subtleties. It's like, even though she might be teasing you about like Batman, DC Comics or something, it's the same evolutionary route. It's like, it is part of the main class. I got a really funny story about that, sort of like really quick. You can tell that sort of that attraction being lost. So I once, it was my buddy was going away traveling, right? And he's a good friend, and everyone liked him. So we did a surprise party for him. And I was the one sort of who organized it all. And so I had like a little clipboard and everything, making sure that all his friends turned up by a certain time so we could surprise him. And just sort of, obviously there were girls there and stuff like that. And because of that sort of like almost like authority, I was much, much younger at the time. Girls were looking at it like, oh, what's Kieran doing? Like, oh, he's hooking this night up. You know, like he's got like checking off who's here. Like it's a little bit of like, oh, what's this? What's going on? So again, it was like a very natural situation to chat up a girl. And I happened to go home with a girl that night, good looking girl. And she was quite small, quite petite. And we were in
love the small ones, man.
Yeah, we were in like my bed at the time, and like just because I was like, it was really weird. I like the angle of the bed, like I was lying in it, and I was sort of, it was angled up against the wall, and I was like, I couldn't, like, just for whatever reason, the angle, I couldn't get myself up, right? And just she was a little bit of like, she was a kind of a bit teasy, like a bit like of a spoiled brat, right? So she just like held me down as I like couldn't get up from this thing. And like,
no.
And you could tell I just couldn't do it. She's just this tiny little girl and she's just like holding me down because of the angle. And I'm like, like, and I couldn't do it. Like you just saw like, you know, she'd come back to my place. It was probably down and it was just like, meow. And that was it.
Right.
Nothing happened after that. And in the morning I had to just be like, well, see you then. Like, because it was just like, it was over.
Yeah, so I think with that, right? Like when she's doing that, like obviously at that point she's kind of like, you know, testing your manhood a little bit right there, right? Like she's testing, she's like, "Oh, you're not strong." Like so but basically what's happening there is she's basically saying like she's testing you, right? There now it's how you respond to those tests, right? So I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, when that happened, in your mentality, you felt insufficient.
I thought it was over. Yeah, I thought I was done.
And that's the whole thing. Is that you did that though.
Yeah.
It wasn't even her, because if you didn't think it was over, it wasn't over, my friend.
No, I agree.
You could have easily, when she did that, you could have easily been like, who the fuck do you think you are? Ronda Rousey? Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? And then you could have just like laughed. You could have laughed it off and you would have been shagging her in like 10 minutes after. You know what I mean? So it just depends. Like, yeah, like, I mean, she saw you. So physically she knew, okay, this guy isn't Arnold Schwarzenegger on steroids in his prime. So she knew that already. So what happened was your mentality at that point in time, you felt insecure, then she feels it. See, women will follow what they feel. They're so intuitive and so good at figuring out what your inner state is that if you have any cracks in your inner state, they're going to sniff that out and it's like piranhas to blood.
No, I agree. Sorry,
done.
Yeah. And it's like, it's almost like I think of women sometimes in my head as like conservative, but not politically. So conservative in terms of they're not the outspoken member of the tribe generally, like just, I mean, obviously you get famous women who have done that, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But because of maybe, this is just how the model I see it as, because of if you came up and you were physically weaker than men, you've got it, it's very difficult. You know, like our ancestors, probably 100,000 years ago, probably the alpha of the tribe didn't think about like bashing one of the girls' heads in if he got a temper. So they had to understand the group dynamics. That's why women are just naturally a lot better than guys are, I think, at like understanding group dynamics, understanding the context of what's actually going on underneath social interaction. They just like and this is a really interesting thing. So when guys are learning this stuff and then they go and like practice talking to girls, they're like, oh wow, like every girl seems to already understand this. Because they've been talking about it since they were a young age. When we were playing football and stuff, they were sitting around looking at other boys, looking at girls, working this social stuff out.
Yeah,
and
I think women. I think women are more discreet about it, and I think when you talk to women, whenever I give advice to guys, I talk a lot about energy between, right? So women will feel your energy. So it's not it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? Because they're not listening necessarily to your words, they're listening to how it feels when you say it to them. right? So if you say something like fuck you, you know what I mean? Like it, like exactly, you get that response, right? Like a laugh, right? Like that, right? Like, so like, for example, like a girl's holding you down, you're just like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? And you're just like laughing about it. She's gonna laugh, right? She's gonna laugh. But if you're like, yo, like this isn't cool. You know what I mean? Like she's not.
I started sweating, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, you start. You know what I mean? Like then you got a problem.
Yeah.
So the key is to just stay in that state of like, nothing really bothers me. I'm chilling. Like say whatever you want. It's not gonna bother me because I've done enough inner work on myself to know all of my flaws, except all of my perceived flaws. Right. We could get into a bigger discussion about flaws and all that stuff, because I really think it's BS. But like, you get into this thing of you've done enough work on yourself to where if she calls you out on something, you just don't care. It like just literally doesn't bother you. You're just like, okay. You know?
That's so true. And that's, I mean, that is the initial hurdle for guys coming in. And it's like, we all have our insecurities.
Yeah.
As you work on yourself, they go down to a point where we all want to just become self-accepting eventually. And we have to earn it. We have to, I mean, there's no point being like, I'm great and your life's a pile of shit. Like it has to match up.
And
but the problem new guys have is that they come in and let's say they have an interaction and it doesn't go amazingly well. And maybe the girl says something mean. You and I probably would be like, it doesn't even go into our head. It's just, she's just saying something mean, whatever. She's having a bad day. It doesn't impact me at all because I don't identify with what she's saying at all. But the new guy does. And he says like, oh no, but she pointed out my glasses or whatever it is that he's insecure about. And it's like, it doesn't matter. That just because she put it out, it doesn't mean that the world is now worked that out about you. But it feels like that at the time. It feels like, oh shit, I've been exposed as the nerd that I am or whatever.
I think guys get into this mental space of also thinking that, success is having every person accept you. Right. And that's just like the worst mentality to have, because when you're living under that type of ideology, anytime that somebody doesn't take you or accept you or point out a flaw about you, it hits you really hard and it really preys into your ego. And it's really tough to recover, especially on like a night out where you might approach somebody and not get the response that you want. And then at that point, you're just like done for the night. You have to fight yourself out of this deep, dark hole that you've gone into. Right. Or even when guys break up with their girlfriend or, their girlfriend breaks up with them, they go into these deep, dark holes because what's really happening is you haven't really accepted everything about yourself. So you've been exposed and your ego's been bruised. And now you have to recover that part of yourself, build yourself back up again. And that's, it can be really debilitating. It can be really tough for guys, but that's why I think the inner game is really the most important thing. You can improve your looks. You can improve the amount of money that you make. You can improve all of that stuff. Right. But the inner game is really where it's won and lost. And true and full acceptance of yourself is
so in a game, just to jump in super quickly, in a game, if you're watching this, you're unaware of terminology, that would be sort of your psychology, your mindset, how at peace you are with yourself, basically.
Yeah, because let's say I go into that scenario for me, I go up to a woman. I have a girlfriend right now, so I'm not approaching any women. But if I was approaching women, and I went up to somebody, as I've done in the past, and maybe gotten rejected or no thanks or whatever, I'm just like, okay, what can I learn from this? Was it the approach? Like, so I don't always blame them and say it's their problem. They have nothing, I have nothing to do with that. I'll look at it and say, okay, what was my mindset going into that? Was I nervous? Was I shaky? What did I say? How did I open up that conversation? I almost get really scientific with it. And I try to understand, okay, what could I have said? What could I have done? All right, now I'll take that lesson into the next interaction.
So
it's not about,
it's just about, like removing that emotion completely.
Yeah.
It's like you're not dismissing her and you're not dismissing yourself. You're just saying like, okay, like what actually happened? What can I do different next time? And
yeah. And that's it, because I don't blame them or say like they don't like me and get frustrated about it. You know what I mean? I say, okay, what could I have done differently? Now, you also have to chalk it up to, okay, sometimes people just don't choose you. You know, you could have a boyfriend. He could be handling his business, so she's not interested. There could be a lot of different things at play. I do also believe that there's a way to get any outcome that you want in life. I do believe that I do believe in magic. You know what I mean? I do believe that you can make things happen. But I also believe that sometimes it's just not in the cards for you, and you have to accept that, learn the lessons from that. Don't let it deter you, and then just say, yeah, I could have done better here. I could have done better there. But I'm never.
Sorry, God. Sorry.
No, you're good. But I'm never going to, do the classic, guy move, which is like, whatever, she's ugly, you know what I mean? Or whatever you want to do to try to like blame it off and take ownership. Take ownership about what you could have done. And then at that point, at a certain point, you can't stay there. You have to chalk it up and say, okay, that connection wasn't meant to happen right there.
Yeah,
that's fine. I'm going to take the lessons I need to learn from this and apply it to the next situation that comes along.
Yeah. So the pitfall on either side is blaming the woman too much from a bad interaction,
right?
Blaming yourself too much. So you don't do either. You just sort of quite surgically look at what actually happened and what could I take forward and bring to the next one. But you mentioned magic there, which I think is fascinating. What do you mean? I mean, other than sort of, if I work unbelievably hard, I'm going to get good outcomes in something. Other than just that, how do you mean? How are you going to do that?
Yeah. So when I say that, so I come from a sales background, right? I work in finance and I'm in sales, right? I always feel that there's always a way to reach the customer that said no, right? Obligate, like, so when I get any type of no from a customer, from a potential, sale, I always feel like there's something that I could have done to make that happen, to make that sale happen. So I go and I look. So it's the same thing when I approach a woman. I have that confidence that, there's something I could have done to make it happen. There's that. So when I say magic, I'm talking about that, when we're children, we think all the time of, I could be anything I want in life. Before life hits us in the face and before we're told, we're not 6'7" and we can't play in the NBA. You know what I mean? Before all of that happens, us as children were like, yeah, I could play in the NBA. Yeah, I could be an astronaut. Yeah, I could do it. And I still, at this age, I'm 31, I'm still carrying that mentality. I'm still carrying, I could do anything I want to do. I could make anything happen. And so, but the difference is when it doesn't happen, I don't go, my entire life is a lie. And this construct, like that doesn't happen to me. I just think human beings and me as well, I'm capable of anything. So especially in a social interaction, because that's just social intelligence. So I always believe when I go into an interaction with someone, like if I don't succeed, I look at myself, but I don't beat myself up over it. But I look at myself and I say, there was a way. Somebody, look, somebody's going to have sex with that girl, right? Why can't it be me? You know what I mean? So what is it that I could have done to make that happen? It's not always about sex, but you get what I'm saying. Like,
I get it, of course, yeah.
Somebody's going to be able to crack this code. Why can't I crack this code? I should, you know what I mean? So that's so I never look at the female and go, oh, it's just her fault. She just hates me. she's stupid, like whatever. Like, it's like, no, there's gonna be like, no, this girl, if she's that pretty, she's not going to end up being a virgin, right? And guys have slept with her before.
But
so what did they do? You know
it's
what
the
I mean?
same as anything. It can be like Michael Jordan having a 30-point deficit in a game and just thinking, look, there's a way of winning. There is a way of winning. Or like when he had the flu and he's like, I'm playing anyway. Like, I think just in the wider scale, it's like there's a way to get what you want done. Like there is a way. Like, and I think where I might disagree with you, or well, not really a disagreement, but it's you can do anything you want if it's within your field of expertise, if you like. I mean, like, I'm not going to win a Nobel Prize in physics, but I might become an amazing dating coach. Like that's
right. But here's the thing about that though, whatever it is that you're passionate about, right? So for example, you don't want to be a physicist.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But if you wanted to be one and you were really passionate about it and you worked on it, it's fully within your reach and capabilities to become a Nobel, Peace Prize winning physicist. It really is. And so what I believe is, as long as you have that passion and that belief in whatever field it is that you're wanting to do, you can attain unbelievable things in whatever it is that you want to do. And so yeah, like, of course, right now I'm not training to be a boxer, right? So I can't say I'm going to go out and fight Mike Tyson and beat him, but I still have the belief that if I did train my whole life, or if I did start training right now and really take it serious, I would be able to do great things. I might not be able to knock out a prime Mike Tyson, but I will be able to do things if I really had passion, really had drive, and really had that want to succeed.
Yeah, it's basically just saying, like, look, all of your wildest goals, like, they can be achieved, and no matter where you're coming from, because like a lot of guys, I mean, my start in life wasn't so bad, and for a lot of guys, it is. I mean, they've just come up and been kicked the shit out of all the way up, coming up, whether it's by their abusive parents and then bullies or whatever it is, and it's like you're starting from a really tough place, but if you're listening to this and that's where you are, like, you can absolutely achieve incredible things, and that sort of difficult childhood oftentimes can be the thing, that the booster that propels you forward to greatness.
Right. And I did want to finish the story a little bit about like where it changed. So after that situation happened with that woman where I got, kind of hurt, I went into the opposite. So before I felt like I was too nice, I said, okay, I became almost a scientist with it. I said, all right, it took me like a couple months to get over it, right? Because it was tough for me at that stage. Now, if something like that happened, first of all, it wouldn't happen because I handle things differently. But if it did happen, I'd be like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Get over it. Yeah. But like at that time, I said, okay, now I'm just going to be a dick, right? So what that means is now I'm going to have no feelings. I'm going to refute any feelings. Any feelings that I start to feel, I'm going to refute them. And I learned that the idea of love and that, heart race, that's all mental. That's all, like, you can actually control that. So I learned how to control my emotional response. There's a book out there that's called Change Your Mind, Change Your Life. Yeah. You can literally condition yourself to check yourself whenever you start to go down that happy place of, okay, I think I'm falling for this girl a little bit too hard. And that could lead to me acting in ways that isn't healthy for this relationship. You can condition yourself and remind yourself, wait, am I doing a little bit too much here? Is this ruining the dynamic between us, that natural, happy dynamic that we had when we met each other? Yeah. What's happening here? And so you can condition that. And so I just learned from that point, like, all right, I'm not going to catch any feelings. Then I realized how crazy it could get on the other spectrum, where women can chase. Some women will chase and chase and chase and chase and chase when you don't give a shit about them, you know what I mean? And so I started learning that too. It's like, so then I through that kind of experience from going from being, okay, I think I understand game kind of, to, okay, now I'm just really playing a game all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I realized that, whoa, I'm the same. So I'm the same physically. It's not like I gained 50 pounds of muscle. I'm the same guy physically. I have the same face. I have the same, I actually had less money at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. But I was getting 10x what I was getting before as far as results were. Right. So I said, okay, it's not, then I said, it's not really your appearance. Like you can shower, you can get a different haircut, and all of that is to really make you feel mentally better.
Yes.
It's really to make you feel better about yourself. But it's really not a factor. It's really not. And what I've learned is that, yes, it does matter the way that you look. You know, a Brad Pitt guy is going to get more opportunities, you know, that there's no doubt about it.
Sure.
But what I'm saying is, if you're not blessed with those superior genetics and you're just a regular looking guy, whatever that means, your mentality is what's going to set you apart from everyone else. It's what you think about yourself. It's how you carry yourself. It's all of those things. So when I started figuring that stuff out, dude, I broke so many hearts. I started sleeping with people's wives.
Wow.
I started seeing that I could sleep with people's girlfriends, fiancés. It didn't matter. Like threesomes. The world was my oyster at that point.
And and just to say, like, if you're listening to that and you're struggling with the psychology of, because like Chris is saying, physically he's not changed. In fact, he even had less money, but it's just, if you become this heartless, like that sort of cold attitude, like you, in certain girls' eyes, you are the ultimate arbiter of validation. It's like, if this guy, who's the coldest guy ever, was to give me a compliment, like, I know I really have deserved it. Like, I really, and it's like, that's it. That's an extreme end of how to move through this space.
Right.
But like you were saying, it does, it's certainly an eye opener.
It does reap benefits. You know what I mean? And I guess for me, in life, I started off as the ultimate sweet guy, right? Because I was listening to my mom, right? I would ask my mom, what do I do? And she'll say, just be nice. Well, okay. You do that and you end up in the friend zone, right? So I went from being really, really nice to kind of being in the middle, but not really getting it yet.
Yeah.
And then I went to the ultimate end of the spectrum, which is, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? And when I went, so I had the full gamut of spectrum. Then after I figured out results and things like that, I actually looked inward and I said, okay, I actually don't like screwing women over because I'm not really hurt. And I don't really blame the woman that made me kind of switch into that role, if you will, and play that villain role. I don't really blame her for it anymore. I realized through that there was something that I could have done to change that interaction. So I let go of that hurt. And then I merged the two. I merged what I learned from being that guy that just didn't care. And I merged being a nice guy with morals and integrity and stuff like that. And I formulated the man that I wanted to be, because before I was this guy that was, you know, at the mercy of what happened to me in the past. So I was operating from a hurt place, and I was allowing my hurt to govern what I was doing and how I was acting. So
you're acting out that pain, that previous pain. And like, I mean, I think Jung would call what you're talking about there incorporating your shadow. That's what I mean. Jordan Peterson talks a lot about this. It's that sort of thing of like, a good man isn't necessarily a nice man, or a nice man isn't necessarily a good man. A good man is someone who has the potential for aggression and violence if needed to protect his family safe, but has controlled that and has incorporated that within his identity. So that's, I mean, that's fascinating. And just, I wanted to say, like, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, it just sounds like, do I need to be conscious of this the entire time? It's like, no. It's like, look, when you watch football, unless you understand the rules of football, you're not going to enjoy playing the game or watching the game, right? And all I want to do personally is to get my guys to be conscious of this social dynamic. Like, look, if I over validate, it's going to go bad, and then I'm going to start feeling myself getting more needy, and I'm going to see her attraction go down. Right. On the other side of things, I could be really cold-hearted. She's going to want the validation from me, but I'm going to be hurting her. I'm going to be not experiencing the best view.
And I think that's the biggest thing that you just said right there is like, okay, when you first start playing football, right? Let's say you're learning the rules. When you first start playing, you're going to start thinking, did we go 10 yards right now? Did I commit a foul right there? What penalty? So at the beginning, you may be really in your head because you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to, but the goal eventually is for you to be so accustomed to the rules and the understanding of how the game is played to where, and how social dynamics work, to where you can just flow within that set. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Within
and it's
that
like,
understanding.
Yeah, you understand what nutrition is. You understand if you have like 3 weeks of eating shit that you're going to see it in your belly, and you're conscious of it. It's like, okay, now I go on a bit of a diet run and I do 3 weeks healthy eating and whatever else. And it's just, we want to get you there in your relationship. Just be conscious. I do it with my girl. I see it if I become, too needy. And obviously you can be vulnerable. You can, if you're feeling down, you can tell your girl about it, all of that. But if you're too needy, if it's too much, you can see it. And it's just about knowing that and clicking out of it quickly.
Yeah. For example, like, like I always tell my guys, when you first start dating a girl, at least this is kind of my operation. When I first start dating a girl, I'm going out at nighttime with her, bro. I'm not going on lunch dates. I'm not doing coffee dates. My goal is to isolate. That's my goal. I'm isolating and we're going out at nighttime. So a lot of my first dates involve going, and I live in the Bay Area, going and looking at the Golden Gate Bridge at nighttime, and women love that. They're like, oh, this is so pretty. You know what I mean? And next thing you know, we're making out and she's going back to my place. And it's all it's the setup. It's all the intention, right? But now I'm in a relationship with my girlfriend. I've done all of that. We've had sex, I don't know how many times now. Like, our relationship is kind of solidified. Now it's like I can take her on a hike. You know what I mean? I can go here, but I wouldn't advise that for the first date. That's just not how I operate. I don't operate in that way. I like to give my guys the best success that they can have to kind of make that transition, that union. Women really start submitting after kind of sex happens, and after that union happens, and depending on how that goes, that's really gonna because if the sex isn't good, I mean, it's kind of a wrap after that point. You know what I mean? So everything, the mating ritual, all the game, all of that is just a lead up to, hey, is the sex gonna be good? And then after the sex is good, then it's almost solidified at that point.
Good. I mean, but it's good, and it just having that sort of just connecting on that level. I mean, look, I remember seeing lots of girls, and then after, it wasn't like if I was scoring the sex, like it was only a 4. So it was just something was off. Like, we didn't gel in this way. Like I just, the way she said something, and it was just like, it was an indicator of her personality. Doesn't make her a bad person, but I just knew, okay, we don't gel. That's it. We're not going to continue seeing.
Yeah, because eventually, like, let's say, I mean, it depends what you're looking for. Some guys are looking to just, shag as many girls as they possibly can. I was at that stage in my life too, but I got to a stage where I was like, all right, I'm looking for meaningful connections at this point. Like, so what? A girl is pretty. Okay, cool. What else does she have to offer? Okay, now when we get in bed, how is that experience? All right, how is this all experience? Does she have integrity? I'm looking for deeper level things than if she's pretty or not. I mean, if a girl's pretty, that's not going to be all that, that is needed. So what I'm saying is, everything is really a lead up until that point once that kind of point happens that can be a make or a break right then and there. If that's not gelling, if that's not vibing, if that physical climax isn't happening, it's going to be tough to progress the relationship, you know? So my thing is I always give guys the best opportunity to get to that point, as soon as they want to, as soon as possible.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny because with our brand, we're trying to bring back a little bit of that traditional value. I know when I came up in game, in pickup, it was very much just like the technical side of, this is how you get good at this stuff. And this is the psychology that you need to understand. And there was never really a goal beyond that. It was just sort of like, well, pimp it forever. Like, do whatever you want to do. And not like having a look at all the different options, living some of them, seeing multiple people, all of that sort of thing. I've come back around to thinking, actually, probably where you're going to get the most amount of satisfaction is with that pretty much monogamous relationship. Let's say monogamous relationship, just to make it easier. And having a child and moving forward. So
I think every guy has their own journey, right? And so I don't judge any guy on their journey. There's some guys that they're just looking to hook up. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, as long as, you know, you're having integrity with that. I feel like integrity is very important. Like for me, I've always been the type, if a girl asks me, am I sleeping with other women? And I'm going to tell her, yes, I am. Guys think if they lie about it and they're not truthful about it, that it's like, oh, I saved this interaction. I'm telling you, most of the time, if you tell a girl, yeah, I'm sleeping with other women, she might be a little frustrated with that first, but a lot of the times that's going to be more of an incentive for her to get validation from you. That's going to be more of an incentive to be like, I want to be your main though, but I really like you though. So I'm going to work harder for that though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't teach guys to be dishonest. I mean, guys are going to do what they want to do, but I teach guys to be honest, because women, they're not as fragile mentally as you think.
Exactly. And there's a way of saying it. That's like say if you get asked that exact question, like, are you seeing any other people at the moment? Are you having sex with other girls? It's like, well, look, you know, I'm a single guy. Like, you can just say it like that. Like, you know, I'm a single guy. I'm talking to a few different people.
You can say it however you want. I think it's the feeling behind what you're saying. Again, so like if a girl asks me, like, are you dating other women? I'll just be like, absolutely. You know what I mean? Like, just like that. I don't give a fuck. Like, right? Like, absolutely. You know, and then just let her deal with it. You know, she's like, well, I don't like it. You know what I mean? And she's like, well, I don't like that. It's like, okay, well, are you seeing other guys?
Yeah.
No? Okay. Well, I mean, listen, the way that I'm doing it, and the way, you know, the way that I'm, you know, expressing myself right now is I'm enjoying myself at this moment in time. And if I find a connection that I really enjoy and it's mutually beneficial, then I'm totally open to having something more exclusive. But right now, I'm just enjoying myself. And until, you know, things change, that's, you know, where it's at.
Yeah.
And that's more of an incentive. But yeah, if a girl asks me, like, are you seeing other people? Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, and what, you know what I mean? And what? And that's just my mentality. It's not me trying to play into a role. That's just me. You know what I mean? And when she hears that, it may hurt, it may sting, but she's going to go, well, at least I respect him for, you know what I mean? Because we didn't talk about being exclusive. It's different if I'm like, you know, like, yeah, we're exclusive, I'm not messing with any girls. And then she asked me and I'm like, yeah, I am. She's going to be like, you lied. What the hell? Yeah. You should have just been honest. You know what I mean? Like, that's my thing, is I don't like to get, dude, I'm just going to be me.
Of course. And it's important to keep, like, I mean, so my personal rule is, I've always just like had a problem with authority, stuff like that. There's certain things that life is going to throw at you. And like, say, getting out of a parking ticket or something. Like, if I could do that, I would. Do you see what I mean? Like, there's certain like institutions and processes that if you're going to go through, like, I don't care about necessarily being truthful. I just want to, like, whatever, win the situation. When I'm dealing with on a personal basis, like just man to man or man to woman, like anyone on just a personal level, I'll be honest with them and commit, like accept my commitments and all of that. And that's how I think you should.
I'm not necessarily saying people have to take this mentality. I'm not necessarily saying people have to live this way. You know, there's a lot of people that are just like, look, I just want to say what I can say to get what I want. And hey, that's fine and all that. But I've lived a life long enough to where I've been on the side of, I'm just going to say and do whatever I need to do to get, you know, what I want. And I personally didn't feel that I was living truthfully. So I needed to change that about me. Now, there's people that live their life and don't feel that they need to live truthfully and stuff like that. I'm not here to cast judgment or be the moral high ground or the moral police. You do whatever you do, you know, but I'm just saying, I choose to deal with both women and men in a way of integrity, you know, and
absolutely.
Because I don't need to lie. And if she doesn't accept the fact that I'm sleeping with other women, but that's genuinely what I want to do, then she's removed. It's fine. But I don't like pulling the wool over somebody's eyes and then them finding out months down the line and then creating issues. I'm not on this planet. This is my own personal mantra, but I'm not on this planet to create, you know, mental issues for people. Sure. I'm here to help people. And
like you're saying, like if there's you don't need to lie at any point anyway. I mean, like if you want to sleep with multiple people all at once, you can do it by being honest. Personally, I think you might find more satisfaction in something a little deeper, but anyway. But listen, look, I mean, Chris, there's loads of stuff we could get into. I know we at some point I'm gonna have to get you down to talk about men being shamed in certain situations and how we're going to deal with that. But for now, I had a great time chatting with you, mate, and thank you very much.
Yeah, no, man, I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate, you know, you having me on, and I look forward to both of our brands growing.
Definitely,
beautiful.
And where can people find you? I'll put links below as well, but just
sure. Yeah. So everyone can find right now this brand Alpha Male Kingdom. It's a Facebook group, but you can find, if you just Google Alpha Male Kingdom, you can find our Twitter, you can find our TikTok. We have a TikTok as well. We've been branching out in that way. I like to give like daily little messages there. Nice. We have a Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group. So you just have to go to Facebook, put in your search bar, put in Alpha Male Kingdom. It's going to have this logo right here. And you can join the group and be a part of, you know, becoming the best version of yourself.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, listen, thank you very much. And I'm not always like laughing that hard at each one of these.
Yeah, no,
and
man.
You know what it is? I can see on your look, like that smile come over your face, and you're just like, absolutely. And it's like, I can see that it would be like that in person if I saw you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's like, because I think it's funny because it's like, why are you worrying about that? So for like my mentality is just always like, and and what?
And there's a lot to that almost encapsulates it all to an extent. And that's kind of what we're saying, like in one word, basically.
Yeah, you hear a lot of guys talk about James Bond, like be like James Bond. What does that mean? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's exactly what it is. And it's not because I've rehearsed and looked in the mirror. And like what I'm saying is that the inner you shines through when that's genuine. Like when you're not playing a role, it like just shines through. Like literally in my mind, when a girl asks me that, I'm like laughing because it's like, who cares? Like, if I'm sleeping, like we don't have a monogamous relationship. So I think it's funny to even ask it because I know if you're asking me that, you're asking me that because you want me deeper. So I think it's like, oh, that's cute. You know what I mean? So it's like, you ask me like, oh, like, you know, are we seeing other people? I just want to know, like, I don't know. I am, but you know, like, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? I just don't care. Like, that's the thing. And it's not because I don't care about her feelings, but it's just like, I guess all of those emotions kind of go into my mind. I find it a little funny. And so it's expressed in that way, you know, and
you're being honest. You're being honest. But listen, I could just keep chatting, but we better call it
bro.
man. All right. Well, listen, we'll talk again at some point in the future, I hope, Chris.
Sounds great. Yeah, I think that's great, man. And again, thanks for having me on. Alpha Male Kingdom is the brand, and I hope things go well with your brand as well. At some point, we should be able to collaborate in some way, even on a business level. So I'm excited about both of the futures of what we have going on.
Thank you, man.